What's going on, YouTube? Kamikaze Von Doom here with some breaking news regarding the Division 2. So sit back, relax, grab that popcorn. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. But all this information and more is on my Twitter page, X if you nasty. So follow me over here at Kamikaze Von Doom to get all of your Division news before I make a YouTube video. Now, this is even before the devs have promoted this. Now, this is thanks to Maverick, so shout out to Maverick for having this up before the devs. And let's double check to see if the devs had this up. They have not yet. So if you go to their Trello board, the patch notes are actually up already. They posted this just a few minutes ago. Now, this is going to be your PTS Phase 2 patch notes, and you can see they are right here and updated. Now, if I go to show more, this is quite a lot to talk about. They did a lot of tweaking, just so you know. Now, this is me scrolling through it fast. There's a lot of tweaks. A lot. So I hope you have your popcorn ready because there is a lot of things we need to talk about. So the PTS will start tomorrow, okay? Now, if you already had the PTS downloaded from Phase 1, it's only going to be a 18 gig update. So from Phase 1 to Phase 2, 18 gigs, but if you have not played the PTS yet, it will be a 97 gig download. Now, how do you get the PTS? If you own the game on PC, you can go to your Ubisoft Connect app on your PC, open that up, and in Ubisoft Connect, you will have a games file where you can see all of your games that you own. Now, in that category, you will see a ready to install category. So go to your games, go to ready to install, and you will see the Division 2 PTS. This is only available now until Monday morning. So the preload is now, and it will start October 4th at 7 a.m. And it will end October 7th at 7 a.m. Now, that is Eastern time, so change that for whatever time zone you're in, okay? I'm only going off of Eastern, and that's right here, 7 a.m., 7 a.m. Now, with that being said, let's talk about this. These patch notes include only the changes made in response to the feedback from PTS Phase 1. For the complete patch notes, please refer to these links. So here are the links to the original patch notes that are not being changed, okay? To get a more overview on the reasons behind some of these changes, here are the dev notes. We already went over that. And without further ado, here we go. So it says here, seasonal modifiers. These are all changes from the seasonal modifiers starting tomorrow. They revised all modifier descriptions. Starting with the coding modifier, they updated the description. They reduced the rifle and marksman rifles per bullet scaling from 10 times to 2 times. Holy crap. The damage from the wrong zone was increased from 10% to 40%, which helps us out. For the hostile modifiers can be found on legendary difficulty. Oof. More enemy types are now equipped with hostile countermeasures, and hostile countermeasures are now scaling in open world as well. So normal 20%, hard 40%, challenging 60%, heroic 80%, and then 95% on legendary. Oof. Okay. Now, next up, we have Black Tusk Assault and Throwers will no longer be available with that coding modifier. They will now either have the... Oh, okay. Yeah, they're just switching the modifiers. We already knew about that. Reduced likelihood. We already talked about that. Tweaked the cooldown values on all active modifiers. They now have the same cooldown value of 55 seconds. And then priority objectives. They added the abandon feature to your priority objectives, which was a great change. They removed the blockade type from the objectives. And they added Jefferson Plaza to the main mission objectives. These are all good changes. For the modifiers, these are all good changes. Just so you know. The damage increase right here, that 30% damage increase for us is amazing because it went from 10 to 40. Now, remember, I was telling you we were only doing 10% damage. We were. So now we'll be doing 40% damage to enemies that are outside of that range value. Not bad. The new brand set changes. So the new brand set is the Legatus brand set. And it says here that the one piece is swap speed 30%, two piece is optimal range of 70%, and the three piece will be 15% weapon damage. The new named backpack will be perfect versatile. Now it says, ooh, for PvP. You see this? It says for PvP only it will be 35%, 35%. So the 45% amplified damage will only be for PvE. Okay. Now they also changed. Oh, they added. Remember that this was not in phase 1 of the PTS. So we're going to have to see if this is going to be in phase 2 of the PTS. But the named mask did not have the optimal range last time, so hopefully it was added. The new gear set is called the Virtuoso. The two-piece will give you weapon handling and magazine size of 15%. The three-piece will give you 15% weapon damage. And then the four-piece, they changed it up a bit. So here we go. The four-piece talent is now called Symphony. Killing an enemy further than 25 meters will give you 40% weapon damage, 20% weapon damage to ARs, and 25% bonus armor for 15 seconds. Killing an enemy within 25 meters will then provide 40% weapon damage, 20% weapon damage to ARs and LMGs, and 30% headshot for 15 seconds. Now, if you kill an enemy further than 25 meters and then closer than 25 meters, it will start to build up a stack. All of these bonuses will then be multiplied by 1.5% and triggered all at the same time for 15 seconds. No stacks are acquired after these bonuses are active. Now it says max of 4 stacks. Remember, that's 4 times of doing that. So you'd have to kill an enemy further than 25, then closer, then further, then closer. That's how that works. So whenever it says stacking to build up these stacks, you have to do that. So I really do not like this gear set, but let's keep going. It says that the chest piece bonus will double the weapon damage, which is super strong, but then you still have to shoot an enemy and kill them further than 25 meters, and then closer than 25 meters, and then further than 25 meters. It does not seem viable, in my opinion. And then the backpack, it says it will decrease those stacks to 3. But again, that's 3 times of doing that. I mean, can anyone tell me the last time they did that? I mean, maybe do sniper, SMG, sniper, SMG, sniper, SMG. Maybe. Do it that way? I don't know. Let me know how you're going to use this new gear set, the Virtuoso. Because in my opinion, I don't think I'm going to really use the 4-piece, but I could see some reasoning behind that 2-piece with the weapon handling and magazine size. I could definitely use that. All right, here we go. The new exotic holster. They changed it up, and they added PvP values. So it's called the Centurion's Scabbard. Now remember, the scabbard is the handle of a sword, right? Isn't that what everyone was saying? Now this says that swapping weapons will give you the following bonuses one by one. In PvE, the first time you switch weapons, you will get rate of fire and weapon damage. The second time you swap weapons, you will get 50% magazine size and 50% reload. Now the bonuses will remain active for 12 seconds or until you switch weapons, which is amazing. This exotic is truly, truly amazing. Now, it says swapping to your sidearm will not trigger any of the bonuses. Got it. So it's only between your primary and secondary weapon. Now, PvP, it's a little bit different. So in PvP, if you reload, you get 10% rate of fire and 10% weapon damage, so half. And then it says if you reload again, you get 25% mag size and 50% reload. So roughly half. It says the bonuses will only remain active for 10 seconds instead of 12, or until your next weapon okay. So all they did was they tweaked it for PvP. Okay, sounds good to me. Next up, we have the new exotic weapon, the Strega. So the Strega was tweaked a little bit and given a range. So it says here that the talent is called Unnerve. Killing an enemy will apply a mark on all the other enemies within 10 meters of it. So before, it was just like all the enemies around it would be marked. Now it's only enemies within 10 meters of that enemy that you just killed. Now, multiple marks can be added on the same enemy. So if you have a whole bunch of enemies that are close together, you can stack and stack and stack. And then by the time you get to the last enemy, you'll be doing some crazy damage. Because it says here that all stacks will give you 15% amp damage. Now, the weapon mods, you'll get a plus 20 mag, plus 5 crit damage, plus 5 crit chance, and 10 weapon handling. Nice. Reworks. This is a big one. A lot of people were wondering about reworks. Here we go. So first, let's talk about the Sledgehammer weapon talent rework. So Sledgehammer, before we talk about what the new thing is, let's talk about the old. So right now, Sledgehammer will deal 30% damage to armor and negative 20% movement speed, okay? Now, in this next update, it will be 15%, but 20% damage to armor if you use the perfect Sledgehammer, okay? So it's going to be a nerf, but it's still going to work the same way. Now, what Yannick was saying in the live stream is that they did this because of the Mosquito Song. So right next to it, the Mosquito Song got a huge rework. Huge rework. So this is why they were tweaking Sledgehammer, because now you can use it with the Mosquito Song. So let's jump to that. The Mosquito Song now, well, let's talk about what it is right now. So in the game right now, it's you shoot an enemy, it'll add a stack, max to 10 stacks, and then once you apply all of those stacks, it will create this effect that all the enemies will look at you, basically. Cool, right? Not that great. Now, what's going to happen is the Mosquito Song is going to be OP. What you're going to want to do in raids or incursions is you're going to have one person with perfect Sledgehammer and one person with the Mosquito Song. Because the Mosquito Song with perfect Sledgehammer, that will give you 45% damage to armor. And here's how. You get 20% from the perfect Sledgehammer right here. And then for the Mosquito Song, hitting an enemy will apply a stack. Stacks are shared between players. At 5 stacks, the enemy will forcefully target you, and that enemy will take 25% more damage to armor. So you will be able to stack this with that Sledgehammer and do some crazy damage numbers. Now it says here, balancing changes. The following rifles have been changed from PTS Phase 1 to Phase 2. The 1886 was changed. So let's see here. So the 1886 will now have an increase in weapon damage by 40k. It will have an increase in mag size by 3. So instead of 5, you will have 8, which will then lower the reload speed, of course. And then they upped the optimal range for the 1886. All right. And those are all the other changes that were previous from Phase 1. Other changes. MMRs. So all of these marksman rifles were changed from Phase 1 to Phase 2. The SR1, the M700, the SRS, and the 308. Let's see what happened here. The SR1 got nerfed. Oof. Okay. The M700 got nerfed. Ouch. The SRS got nerfed. And the 308 got nerfed. Okay. All of them. Shotguns. These are the Following shotguns that were changed from PTS Phase 1 to Phase 2: double barrel, sawed off, SASG, Super 90, SPAS 12, and KSG. So let's see here. The double barrel got a buff. The sawed off got a buff. The SASG got a nerf. The Super 90 got a nerf. The SPAS got a nice buff. Nice. I might be using the SPAS 12. What else do we have here? The KSG. And the KSG got a nice buff. Nice. I mean, looking at those, look at this. The SPAS 12 went from 646 to 715. Woo! And what was the other one? The KSG. 594 to 678. Oh, those are going to be fun. Those are going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's keep going. Pistols that were changed. Uh-oh, the Harvest. What happened to the Harvest? Yo, the Harvest just got a big buff. And a buff to the rate of fire. What? The Harvest is going to hit even harder next patch. Hell yeah. That's cool. Going to SMGs that were changed after Phase 1. The MP7. What happened to the MP7? The MP7 got a nerf. A nerf to the base damage and a nerf to the rate of fire. It got a buff to the reload and a little buff to the optimal range. Who asked for that? Don't we need another attachment on the MP7 before? I don't even think it has a mag size attachment. Weapon mods that were changed from Phase 1 to Phase 2. So the Infantry 5.56 mag went from 30 optimal range to 70. Woo! The Tactical Short Grip went from 10 crit damage to 15. Nice. Other gear talent changes. Obliterate. So Obliterate went from 25 stacks to 20. Now that is a change from Phase 1 because in Phase 1 they had it at 17. So this is a nice, it's still a nerf, but it's not as bad as they were trying to nerf it. You know what I mean? For Perfect Allegro, it's going to go up 3% to 15% total. For Sadist, in PvP, it will only be the 20 and 25%. And, oh, that's actually the same from TU1. Got it. So it's going to get a buff in PvE only. Brazen is also, just getting a buff in PvE. Gear sets, we have Heartbreaker. Oh, they nerfed it. They nerfed it. Oh, they nerfed Heartbreaker. They nerfed it. What the hell were they thinking? Everyone was so happy about that, and they reverted it. Oh, no. People are going to be upset about that. So what I'm saying is from Phase 1, this was a 1.3 damage per stack. So it was a 30% buff. Now it's a 10% buff. It's just going from 1 to 1.1. That's just a 10% buff. Damn, dude. That Heartbreaker meta just went right back. Wow. Wowee wooey. And look at Striker. Striker was nerfed 10%. So Heartbreaker will now be buffed 10% and Striker will be nerfed 10%. That's not good enough. I would need, like, the 30% and 30% was nice. And now they're just doing 10% and 10%, which means Striker is still going to be meta and Heartbreaker is going to be a little bit better, but not much. Striker is still going to be meta. Wow. All right, the 2-piece bonus for aces and eights will now give you rifle damage. Oh, that's big. That is big, especially for the Ninja Bike builds. Yo, that's going to be crazy. We're going to be able to do some one-hit shots with rifles. Not only that, but you could use that with the fully auto rifles. Oh, man, that's glorious. Okay, brand set changes. Brand set changes after Phase 1. So these are all changes that are brand new. Alp Summit, they nerf the repair skills. Electric, they are not doing anything now with electric. Electric. Empress, yep, they're still nerfing the skill efficiency. Murakami, they are still, let's just look at these. Come on. All right, so Murakami, they are nerfing the skill duration and skill damage, but upping the repair skills on the 2-piece. Richter and Kaiser's getting a nerf to the incoming repairs. Wyvern got a 2% nerf to skill damage, but a 3% buff to status and a 5% buff to skill duration. Interesting. The 511 is getting a buff to the incoming and hazard. And Bellstone Armory is getting a nice little buff to the incoming repairs. And then Hanayu got a nice buff to the weapon damage. Nice. Let's see here. Golan, Cheska, Providence, and Sokolov. Let's see here. Golan Gear. They decided to revert all changes to Golan Gear. So now Golan Gear is not being touched. Let's look here. Habsburg Guard. Yep, that's the same. Lingmo. Uzina got a nice hazard buff. Y'all Gear got a nice buff. Araldi, that's a weird nerf. The big ones I'm seeing here is Grupo, Providence, and Sokolov Concern. All of them got nerfed. All of them. Look at these reds. Eesh. Eesh. All right, let's keep going. Exotics, here we go, people. The Scorpio. They did revert it. So listen up here. So now, what we have for the Scorpio is you shoot them once for poison, 3 for disorient, 6 for shock, and then 7 to take that extra damage. Next season, it will now be 2 for poison, 4 for disorient, 6 for shock, and 9 for the extra damage. That's not bad. It's roughly what it already was. That's not bad. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. The Scorpio is back, baby. St. Elmo's engine. They took away the rounds. So it was about to say plus 20 rounds right here, and they reverted it back. So you'll still have the same amount of rounds on your St. Elmo's engine. So that's good. They took away some of the weapon handling, some of the crit, but they kept how many rounds are in the magazine, which is really good. Yo, look at these. Here is your exotic buffs and nerfs. Bighorn got a buff. Strega got a nerf. St. Elmo's engine got a buff. Capacitor got a buff. The Eagle Bearer's getting a nerf. Chameleon's getting a buff. Lady Death, nerf. Backfire, nerf. Chatterbox, nerf. Ouroboros, nerf. Ruthless Merciless, buff. Vindicator, nerf. Diamondback, buff. Holy crap. The Diamondback just got a 20% buff. The Diamondback. Sacrum Imperium, buff. Mantis, nerf. Dread Edict, nerf. And then the Lullaby Sweet Dreams got a buff. Holy crap. Shotgun just got a buff. Nice. More exotics here. The Iron Lung got a nerf. Blue Screen got a little buff. Very little. That's not even worth talking about. The Pestilence got a little buff. The Bullet King got a nice buff. Scorpio, nerf. Overlord, buff. Liberty, nerf. And Mosquito Song, buff. Nice. Now it says here, note that the negative 10 rounds to the St. Elmo's and Ouroboros was reverted. Nice. And this was added by UB April. And these are your patch notes for tomorrow's PTS Phase 2, just so you know. We will be testing this tomorrow in the PTS. If you have any questions or anything, this is on the Trello board, and I already had it shared on my Twitter page. X if you nasty. So remember, Follow me at Kamikaze Von Doom for all of this information and more about the Division before I make a YouTube video. But that was all the patch notes and everything to look forward to tomorrow's PTS Phase 2. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Shout out where you're from, and don't forget, hit the thumbs up and support the channel by subscribing. I am Kamikaze Von Doom. I'll hit you up later. Take care of yourself and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.